Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Thursday to you. We're taking a look here at Magic, seeing how much Magic is going to be in the near future for this coin, or is just going to drop really hard. We do have a fair value gap just to be mindful of between 53 cents upwards about 56 cents. But there is a nice little breakout pattern here from this falling wedge, along with the double bottom. So you get the combination of two really good candlestick patterns. It's a recipe for success. Now, I wish I had had this on my radar, but it just came up with a lot of requests that I got through my Discord community. There is a request section you can come to ask me for requests, so feel free to do that if you're new to the channel, or if you are just wanting to become part of something greater. We got a really awesome group here. We all kind of learn and grow together. It's a lot of fun. So thanks again so much for everyone for being awesome parts of my life. Also, congrats to our community members who took 39% on basically in 14 days for our comp trade. 20% for Terra Classic and 20% for KNC. This is just the last 24 to 48 hours there for that. And again, that's part of our basically our premium package there. If you want more information, link down below where you can register for my Trading Academy, Communities, and Signal Group. Everything is down below if you're interested in checking that out. But either way, come join us on Discord, Telegram, and or our Twitter. Really cool stuff forming here. We just created our Twitter and Telegram account here recently, and it's been a lot of fun too. So be sure to check that out if you want to stay up on the news, technical, and fundamental alike. So what we're looking at here is on the daily. Some pretty straightforward stuff, but also out of the ordinary too. Now, a lot of coins are performing very well today, mainly because Bitcoin finally surpassed that 27,000 mark. We're looking for a closure at 27,000 right now. It's kind of trending right at that level for Bitcoin. And the reason why that's relevant is, again, because it's kind of the big dog. You got to pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing. If Bitcoin can break free from this range, we're going to see some alts take off. Now, you do got to recognize too, some alts may not be like extremely taking off too as well, because in a lot of cases, Bitcoin dominance goes up and the price goes up. Alts tend to kind of stay and hang out because money's flowing into Bitcoin. Money flows out of Bitcoin, that's when you start to see some altcoins surging. So it's cool to see a small handful of coins right now taking off, and this is no exception. Okay, so let's look at the big picture and work our way down, right? So first of all, we can obviously see lower highs, lower lows very, very consistently. Okay. Now, the only way to be able to break that pattern is to establish higher highs. Okay. Now, we do have that officially here now, at least based on the most recent time frame here. So you can kind of see the last couple of weeks, it's been difficult for the price action to break through that 50-cent mark. I'm rounding up a little bit, but 49, 50 cents, right? Now that we've broken through that level, we've essentially broken through these two resistance levels, both based on previous highs. Those are now going to be considered new lows. So this is a new support range here for us, right in this range. Okay. We also want to take a look quickly at the volume and just acknowledge that we have the largest amount of volume at this level here at 50 cents. So it does imply if the price pulls back, that'll be a nice bouncing point for us. Okay. So good news is here, we're likely on the right side of the tracks. Let's confirm that as well. RSI broke through 50, pretty strong and pretty sound. We have money flow index high. And of course, the MACD is converging. Okay, so if Bitcoin continues to do well for itself, we could see this coin continue to surge. If Bitcoin pulls back, we might see a pullback to clear that fair value gap. You can see that in smaller time frames. But simply put here, this coin is definitely looking like it wants to continue now that we've broken free from that. Let's take a quick look at some liquidity here and just confirm there is a large amount of liquidity up here at about 76 to 80 cents. That's a long ways away, but it would make perfect sense for this coin to want to continue higher to those levels in the relative near future. Okay. Now keep in mind there's previous liquidity levels that have been fairly well filled already, but generally speaking, the buy side here, we got a lot more liquidity up there. So it gives us a large range, basically implying that that could be a very pretty realistic target to shoot for. I'm not saying you want to just set a target there and no stop loss, but I am admitting that that is a decent, an eventuality, if you will. But keep in mind, we're not overextended quite yet, but we're getting there. Let's see if the 4-hour tells us anything about that. Because when it comes to overextensions, it's important to recognize that they matter to an extent, but also not so much as well. And what I mean by that is cryptocurrency. If you've seen any of the coins here recently, TRB, Frontier, a handful of others, a lot of folks got their hands caught in the cookie jar with those shorts. I'll admit, we even did too. We had to manually close our trades before it got worse. And that's kind of part of being a good trader, right? Is to be able to cut your losses, so to speak. While it was, unfortunate to cut our losses there, we had a lot of other profitable trades. It's okay, but it's all part of the game. So please don't think that there's any shame in closing a trade in the red. It's actually a very good thing. Oftentimes it turns right around, of course, but we want to try to minimize that. What I'm getting at here is that we're overextended on the 4-hour. We can see our RSIs well above 70, and oftentimes when it's above 70, it's not necessarily a case in point where we want to sell. it's a situation in which you want to recognize that and pay attention. Okay, so with us being up over that that extreme scenario there, we have this fair value gap here. The price could pull back, but there's a decent likelihood the price will remain the same and continue to where it's at. Okay, so all in all, we're looking pretty strong here for this coin. We got a strong convergence on the MACD. We're well above all three moving averages. In fact, I forgot to look at that on the daily. This is something important to recognize. We've got the 200-day is way above there. It's up in the 90-cent range. But right now, we can see roughly about 54 cents is where the 50-day SMA is averaging itself out. And it's common for the 50-day SMA to be a trend setter, right? We can kind of see this descending trend as the price comes down. It works itself concurrent with that. And now it's not exact, it's not always precise, but the bottom line here is that this descending type of trend that we're seeing here, which is touched on multiple time frames, we'll just take kind of the more recent one. If we go that concurrent with a 50, you can see we've broken above that. Okay? But if you go a little bit larger time frame, you can kind of see there's a lot of points in which the price action keeps hitting. So in truth, we haven't broken through that range yet. Okay, so even though we're tentatively above the 50, I don't think it's a case in point where we want to celebrate and say, hey, we're totally clear, we're good to go, green light to long. But I am saying that most signs are leading upwards here. We might have some resistance when we get through that level, but simply put, we're fairly well on the right side of tracks, but I think it's a little premature to kind of celebrate, if you will. All right. So I like to just kind of be realistic there in that sense, but the truth is, tremendous amount of volume in the 50 to 49 cent range. Price does end up pulling back. We will see a nice little bounce off that area. Okay. So you could short to that area. There's a chance of that. There's a decent fair value gap here down to about 53 cents as well. But again, is that really worth it? This may or may not get filled, and the price action looks more likely to increase from here. So to me, I'd much rather wait for a long closer to 51, 52, or consider shorting very tight targets on the way down. Again, those are just a couple of considerations for me, honestly. Now, let's take a quick look at the hourly and wrap it up here. We want to acknowledge here the Ichimoku Cloud. We're good to go on all three indications here, right? Basically just implying that we have plenty of time before the price pulls back, that we have enough momentum here, and that there's no reason to expect the price to pull back just because it's overextended. Okay? We take a look at overextension, of course, we are absolutely there, right? On the hourly, we can see we pushed straight through that 9, and we should have got the price to pull back, but it didn't. That tells us that we're in pretty good shape. We also want to recognize, too, the amount of volume that's coming in here. We can maintain above this moving average, we should be in pretty good shape, which we have been able to do so far, which is exactly why we have this type of ascending wedge pattern. Okay. So in other words, we got this price pulling up here, kind of working itself into a pennant pattern. So there's more likely the price is going to break up than down from here based on that sentiment. Again, volume is the most important thing here. So if we don't get the volume to maintain, then we're going to expect the price to pull back. But this is holding fairly strong at this level, and it's very reminiscent of this situation here when the price pulls up, and of course we get that little pattern, so to speak, where the price has exceeded itself. So what's going to happen next? Well, in a lot of ways, you can kind of look at different time frames to identify. Our CC Gold indicator gives us good selling signals, but in truth, there's no buy or sell signals just yet. But we are above these key level moving averages, and that's important to recognize too, that shorting into this coin is fairly risky. Okay, now again, I don't like to long at the top, so I'd much rather wait for an entry at the lower price point, which may not happen. But for right now, if you're in a long, we're not really getting any indication that you want to sell just yet. Okay? If we continue to maintain this price and we have difficulty getting above this level here soon, then we would be in a case in point where we need to be able to consider selling to the downside. But to me, I'd much rather wait for the price to naturally pull back, and then of course go long at a better price point. So this coin is it's interesting. It's kind of in that little in between, because you got to recognize Bitcoin still hasn't fully fulfilled what it needs to. We haven't tested that 27.5, that 28,000, gotten those shorts squeezed out yet. We're in a situation right now where the price action for this coin is fairly contingent on Bitcoin, at least the success that Bitcoin has. If Bitcoin can maintain itself sideways for some time, this coin will continue. But my speculation is that Bitcoin's going to pull back a little bit at the 26.5 range, and then maybe get a bounce at that level. That would be a better time to try to get in, which again would be that natural correction down to the 52, 53 cent range. So those are just things I'm looking for. What are your thoughts? What are you planning to do with this coin? Are you long? Are you short? What is the scenario for you? I'd be excited to hear that. Link down below, of course, comment down below, and if you want to jump on over to our Twitter or Telegram, great places to be able to, become a better trader and just interact with other awesome traders. We have voice chats, we have general chat, a lot of cool things that you can jump on into with our Discord too. If you want to become a premium member, cryptocash.tech is the site, link down below. Make sure you reference our referral links too. We got a tremendous amount of options with different exchanges. BingX is fantastic for being our US members that don't want to KYC or can't KYC and don't want to use a VPN. They have a tremendous amount of competitions and sign up bonuses with BitGet. There's some really cool things. Be sure to check that out. All right. Well, I hope that this made sense to you. I look forward to working with you if you want to become, again, better trader. Looking forward to working with you. Have yourself a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.